Hi, this is David Orlofsky. Welcome to the Parsha in 5, where in 5 minutes we try to give you insight into things in the Parsha. You know, there's a comedian, Bill Maher. I'm certainly not meaning to endorse him, but I saw a clip of him once where he said something that was profound. He says, you people are, destroying the legacy of people like Thomas Jefferson and George Washington, and they're saying, oh, they're all no good because they had slaves. Says, you're not better than them. You were just born later. So if you were there, you would have had slaves too. Don't fool yourself into thinking you're a better person because you're not. Very interesting insight. But whenever the topic of slavery comes up, it always gets a little sticky. And people, say, slavery, of course, everyone knows slavery is long. No, nobody knew slavery was long until England outlawed slavery, until the United States fought a war to end slavery. People didn't think slavery was wrong. Everyone accepted this throughout most of history. So when the Torah talks about slavery, needless to say, it makes people somewhat uncomfortable. And I'm not here to endorse slavery. I'm here to explain the Torah's concept of slavery. Yeah. And I'm making a distinction now between an Eved Ivri and an Eved Kanani, because I think that's dishonest. When people want to explain slavery and they're bringing the concept of an Eved Ivri, that's a Jew who's been sold for 6 years as a slave. Yeah. And the Gemara says anyone who buys a slave is buying a master for himself. And if you have one pillow, you have to give it to him and he eats the same as that. That's all talking about a Jewish slave. By a non-Jewish slave, none of that applies. So it's a dishonest answer. And I don't want to be dishonest with you in the little time that we have together. Yeah, if we had more time together, I'd be dishonest. But as it is now, I'm on the clock. So what is the concept of slavery? Noach drinks. He does not appreciate how powerful wine is now after the Mabul because he's been lowered in his power. And he gets drunk. And his son Ham figures out that the reason he was drinking is because he was going to have a romantic evening with his wife. And so he castrates him because he tells his brothers, hey, look, Cain and Hevel were only two people, and one killed the other because they were worried about who was going to get the world. We're already three brothers. He wants to have more kids. As it is, we each only get a third of the world. So when Noach came to, he realized what Ham did to him. He cursed him and said, your descendants will be slaves. Why? Because you are out of control. You are just out of control. And when a person is out of control, they need to have controls imposed on them externally. You need a master. You need someone to tell you what to do, because left to yourself, you will be a wild animal. You will destroy and do everything you can just to get what you want. The purpose of slavery is that people who need these external controls become slaves. Very interesting, in Parshas Chayei Sarah, when Abraham says, go and find a wife for my son from my family. So Eliezer says, what if I can't? He says, well, not from your family because you're cursed. So instead, get them from, says Rashi, Ana, Eshkol, and Mamre. But they were also Canaanim. They were also cursed. Says the Sifsei Chachamim, but they didn't become slaves. If the curse of becoming slaves came on you, that means that there's something in you that you are out of control and you need a master. Now, the purpose of that is only to help you become a better person. Eliezer Demesek, Doila Umashke, the Torah's rabbi, he was considered an unbelievable teacher of Torah. Abraham chose him to go and pick a wife for Yitzchak. He was great. How come Abraham never freed him? Because he understood that Eliezer had this in him, that he needed external controls. And if he had those external controls, then he would be great. But without them, he wouldn't. And so every one of us understand that at Har Sinai, we became Avodim to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We became slaves to God because we let HaKadosh Baruch Hu give us those controls to help us go on and live truly meaningful lives. Good Shabbos.